Do you have friends that complain that their feet is like this?
Yes.
In English, we call it pigeon toes. The interesting thing about this posture is that it's actually this bone that's turning inwards, the tibia. Usually the hips also internally rotate, and then they often going to have this O Xing Tui posture. We're not really going to talk about O Xing Tui today, but it is related. Okay, and then these people will often also have what they call a anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, so posterior pelvic tilt tends to be associated with this posture, and anterior pelvic tilt is usually associated with this posture as well as the O Xing Tui. If you want to address this foot position, you really want to also address the anterior pelvic tilt. I talk about this position is actually from the hips. I'll prove it to you. So which country do people stand like this the most?
Japan.
Japan, right. Now there's a reason. In Asia, 东南亚, right? Yeah. We always sit like this, right? This is our normal way of sitting. If you just look at the femur, okay? Just look at this bone. So right now it's pointing straight up. If I sit like this, it's now externally rotated. Okay? So if I go to stand up, if I spend my whole life sitting like that, then this is a very natural position. It's going to point out. So how do Japanese sit? They actually do something different, which I can't do because I'm old. But they sit like this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then they can sit all the way down. So if it may look like it's sticking out, but actually, if you look at the thigh, so right now I'm pointing straight. If I do this, it's actually internal rotated. So when they stand, it's natural for them to stand like this. And if you notice, there's this big gap here, right? So this O Xing Tui stuff. So for them, a lot of it is actually at the hip. So these people, the muscles that turn in, which are in here in the groin, are very tight. Okay, and of course they will have that anterior rotation. Maybe they might have weak glutes because these muscles actually turn your hip out this way. If I wanted to correct that, I'll probably do a simple exercise. I want to actually have this posterior rotation and then lift up at the same time. Okay, like that. So I'm training my glutes and I'm maintaining this posterior rotation. Okay, I'm not anteriorly rotating, it's posterior. Okay, and then they'll feel like stretching of the muscles here and in the front. Okay, so this is probably one of the exercises that they should focus on. This 内八, internal rotation. Okay, most of the time actually from the hip. Yeah. And of course, maybe you want to do some stretches, right? Just help open up the hips. Okay, so maybe some people can't even do this. They'll be like here, maximum. Okay, so spend more time kind of opening up the hips, stretching this way, or you can just do one leg at a time. So if you just learn to open up the hips and learn to correct the anterior pelvic tilt, okay, then that will help. Thanks.